You know, one of the things they don't teach you in college is how drinking turns your gut and army of microbes against you. And to be honest, I wish they did, because some of the only things I remember to this day from my 4-year degree are things like the delirious effects of endocrine disruptors from things like microwave popcorn, and how phytochemicals from things like fruits and veggies have a magical yet mysterious cellular boosting effect. So, I'm pretty sure if I heard that alcohol alters the gut in a way that allows bacterial byproducts to mosey on into my bloodstream and wreak havoc on critical organs like the liver, I'd remember that. And probably tone it down a little. But they never covered it. Exactly why we're gonna cover it today. Oh, and if you don't mind, can you hold my beer? Thanks. You know what? Keep it. On me. Let's go. Yo. What is up? Welcome back to another week of How to Health. My name is Kevin. I run LiftandBalance.com, where we take aim at all things health and longevity and do it in an odd, weird, interesting, and highly sarcastic way. Now, before we dive in, I first need to read you in on our gut's in-house defense architecture, because it is really quite astounding. As you may have come to know, especially if you've been hanging around this channel on the tube of you, your intestines are not just a boring reservoir for nutrient processing. They're a live war zone, inhabiting trillions of non-self microorganisms which are, in a perfect world, helping optimize your day-to-day function. But in the more common, unperfect world, leaving you in a chronic state of inflammatory disarray. And here's what I mean by that. Every day, your gut encounters more foreign material than any other organ. Food particles, bacteria, toxins, chemicals, you name it. And yet somehow, it intelligently filters what gets absorbed, what gets attacked, and what gets safely escorted out. Pretty amazing. I know. And one of the key players in this process that is absolutely critical for this optimization success is a specialized group of gut cells called goblet cells, which are most famous for regulating the protective mucus layer that buffers the chaotic environment which is the gut from the gut wall and thus the rest of the body. But there is another function which is equally important that these cells don't get a lot of press about, at least in the health and longevity media. And it is creating goblet cell associated antigen passages, or GAPs for short. Sounds fancy, I know. But you can really just think of these as microscopic security checkpoints. A key portal where your immune system samples what's in your gut and decides how to respond. Because if you didn't already know, the majority of your immune system sits on the internal side of the gut wall, or bordering the area where the majority of the foreign threats reside. Now, when these GAPs are working properly, they train your immune system to recognize and destroy harmful bacteria while leaving beneficial microbes alone. I mean, pretty cool, right? But when this system becomes disrupted, these cellular passageways become dysfunctional, ultimately allowing non-self organisms and their byproducts to slip on through into the hottest club in biological town, club circulation, oftentimes undetected. And when they do, one of the first stops is the liver, where they cause massive inflammation and havoc. Ironically, the exact organ which takes the brunt of the pain from excessive alcohol consumption. Damn. It would really suck if there was some sort of double whammy at play and alcohol also impaired these goblet cells and caused leaky gut. Right? Huh? Don't give away the research? Oh yeah, the research, right. I think it'd be a good time to talk about this new study, which I totally didn't give away. Here, a team from UC San Diego, Harvard, and multiple international institutions conducted what might be the most comprehensive investigation into alcohol's gut-liver connection. And here's what they found. By deploying a hybrid model where they first studied humans with liver disease from excessive alcohol consumption, and then conducting a 10-week mouse study where they fed the rodents chronic alcohol diets tracking exactly what happens to these critical gut defense systems, they observed that alcohol consumption downregulates a key receptor called MACHR4, or M4 muscarinic acetylcholine receptor, which happens to play a key role in gap formation. Remember those security checkpoints? Yeah, those. Turns out that this receptor acts as their master switch, basically regulating the on-off of your gut's immune surveillance system. When it's on, functioning properly, it activates those goblet cells to form gaps, triggering a cascade of protective immune processes as a result. But when alcohol enters the picture, it suppresses this receptor, causing the gaps to stop forming, and ultimately, if chronic, disrupting the critically important prerequisites for antimicrobial immunity. Ipso facto, your gut's border patrol essentially gets its budget taken away, creating an internal environment that tolerates something that is truly not cool for biological business: the translocation of enteric bacteria and their byproducts into circulation to places like the liver. And just to be clear, so we're all on the same page, you want none of these non-self bacteria byproducts in circulation. Zero. Zilch. Nada. Because it becomes an inflammatory nightmare and triggers longevity liability numero uno: chronic inflammation, making situations, for example, fatty liver or liver cirrhosis from excessive drinking, even worse. Yeah. But all of that being said, there is, of course, an optimistic side, because the glass is half full somewhere, right? Researchers also did observe a resurgence and reactivation of these goblet cells, MACHR4 expression, and gap formation after deploying some targeted therapies, once again displaying the body's amazing resilience. But as you can imagine, the goal is to never get to that point in the first place, aka prevention, which also happens to be the true secret for health and vitality. And not just for this scenario, everyone. So, to sum it up, drinking alcohol and doing so excessively not only sets the body up for impaired function, primarily by stressing your organs to the point where inflammation rises, fat accumulates, scarring occurs, and disease develops solely due to the ethanol absorption, but also has this second-order effect in the intestines, which weakens the gut wall, discombobulates the immune system, and allows non-self bacterial byproducts to enter the sacred bloodstream and drive systemic chronic inflammation throughout the body, exacerbating the first-order damage in critical organs like the liver. Oh, and let's not forget, impairing everything else along the way: mitochondria function, cellular repair mechanisms, detoxification systems, and as a result, your daily mood, feel, and function. Which, after I laid it out like that, I don't think anyone will be willingly signing up for. With that, we get to some good news. Because come on, there is always a silver lining. And that is that we, the biological organism, are pretty damn resilient. And with a proactive shift in lifestyle can elicit some pretty amazing change. Like finally feeling how you're capable of feeling each day. I know, crazy. Here are some things to keep in mind to do just that. First, and this might sound obvious, but it also needs to be said, consider reducing or even eliminating alcohol consumption, because this compound brings zero scientifically backed biological benefits to the table. That's right, nothing. Only a laundry list of negative effects. Hey, don't hate the messenger, okay? Just doing my job here. If you want my complete strategy and rationale on this topic, I break it down in depth in this video here. Oh, and talk about how ethanol damages DNA and accelerates aging. But you probably could have already guessed that. And if you see this as a momentous challenge, try starting out slow, picking out a few alcohol-free days to target each week, and then work your way up from there. Of course, leaving some flexibility if you want to indulge every once in a while. This will give your gut, liver, and entire body some time to rebuild and reset, especially if you combined it with some other healthy habits, like real food eating. Speaking of that, your diet happens to be not only one of the best ways to position your cellular self for prosperity, but also your gut, and specifically a great way to optimize goblet cell function, as omega-3 fatty acids from wild fish support cellular membrane integrity and reduce inflammation. Zinc from grass-fed meats, beans, legumes, nuts, and seeds enhance goblet cell mucus production. Vitamin A from organ meats and colorful vegetables help maintain intestinal epithelial integrity, and all those dietary and prebiotic fibers from vegetables, fruits, and resistant starches, along with fermented probiotic foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and kefir, cultivate the proper microbe ecosystem to support proper gut formation. Yeah, food matters. And if you want to work in a little help for that all-important liver, Real Foods, daily rest via sleep, and a 14+ hour overnight fast, strong circadian alignment, aka being active and eating during the day while resting and fasting at night, and staying consistently hydrated are all big boosters. So it's really worth putting an extra effort in building a lifestyle of consistency in these areas. And in the meantime, prioritizing some of the best natural immune boosting therapies isn't a bad idea either. Good thing for all of us, it don't cost a dime. Only strategic time. Because these natural immune boosters are high quality sleep and stress management. As a growing body of literature shows, doing the opposite suppresses the immune response, elevates cortisol, and further impairs gut barrier function. Not cool. I know. But don't sweat it. I'll drop some videos detailing protocols for both in the show notes below. I got you. Don't worry. And with that, I'll start you off right by taking my beer back. And while I'm doing that, drop your strategy when it comes to alcohol in the comments below. And I want to hear everything from how you toned it down to how you manage those indulgences. So don't hold any of that alpha back. Oh, and now you can say that nobody ever taught you about the deleterious effects of alcohol on your gut. You're welcome.